Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I have with me Matheus Riolfi, co-founder and CEO at Tint. Matheus, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Hi, hi, Tony, and everything's going well. Thank you, and thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And we just before we started recording, we were chatting about you are originally from Brazil, so
Hmm.
Portuguese speaker originally.
Yes.
And you've been in San Francisco for a few years, and you're in San Francisco right now. Uh, so how are you doing in San Francisco in December? Probably beautiful compared to the rest of the country, which is cold by December.
Yeah, no, I think everything is fine here. It's surprisingly like colder than I remember. So we having temperature in the 30s and 40s the last few days, but definitely it's a great place as usual. Sunny, beautiful, yeah, with a lot going on.
Awesome. And so we all always give the guests the chance to give the elevator pitch. So what is Tint?
So Tint, we are in the embedded insurance space. So we work with tech platforms to help them create their own embedded insurance products. And we provide everything they need from all the software and the core systems to compliance, back office, licensing, and finally we provide them access to capacity. So we work with carriers and other kind of innovative risk transfer mechanisms to make sure that if the company wants to transfer the risk, they will find the right partner for it.
Okay, so for any sort of platforms, basically.
Yes, we work. We are a horizontal or vertical agnostic platform within the P&C world. So we don't work with life and health, but within P&C, we have customers in like at least 10 different use cases. So one of those examples, it's a company called Neighbor, which is like an Andreessen Horowitz-backed startup. They are like Airbnb for storage. So they help people store things in houses that have available space, and we help neighbor create their what's called neighbor protection, where if there's any damage to any of the kind of stored items, the person can buy insurance or buy protection for it, and then we will help like neighbor operate the entire program.
Okay, so basically for platforms at the beginning, when they realized that they should offer insurance protection, they probably attempted on their own, and or at least look at doing it on their own, and then they realize that it's incredibly messy, incredibly regulated, and at that point, I'm guessing they basically come running.
That's a fair statement. So my background is that I was one of the early employees of Turo, and both my co-founder and I actually, and we joined the company in 2014 when it was like about 15 people, and when we left 4 years later, it was over 400, and it was like a multi-billion-dollar business. So we've seen like how much of the pain of Turo running. Turo eventually create a lot of its insurance tech in-house, but that happened over many years, and it was a very painful process. So both my co-founder and I saw how hard it was. We saw the two sides of the same coin, right? First, the opportunity, how a tech company from San Francisco was now quietly becoming an insurer behind the scenes, and even though they will never admit that publicly. And then we also saw how it was very hard, as I mentioned, without having the right team, the right systems, the right knowledge of the market. So that's what, in a way, would inspire us to get out and start Tints to make sure that all the other tech platforms, and there are like hundreds or thousands of them going through the same journey now, that they would have a better way to do this than we had when we were at Turo.
And the compliance piece, especially, is a nightmare with 50 states regulating insurance in different ways, right? And Turos is a great example, right? Renting a car when visiting San Francisco, the insurance that you need to offer me is potentially very different from renting it here in Atlanta, Georgia, where I live, and you need to seamlessly manage all of that.
That's right. And I think, not only manage, right? The first part is to understand the different complexities and choose the right models. So for those platforms, they are typically doing something innovative. So it's very likely that follows within the surplus lines or the excess part of the market. But even before we get to there, like, a lot of those companies, they're offering what is called assurance with an A, what is actually not an insurance product, right? So if you think about Turo, the main protection product Turo offers is a damage waiver, which is not technically speaking an insurance product. It's a waiver of liability. And so they're definitely, like, the marketplaces that we see that the way typically works, they have the idea, they heard from their customers that there is a pain point, and they see that by solving this pain point, they both increase the value of their product and create a new profit center. So they come to us with this idea, and then we help based on the templates, based on the structure that we have, help them create something that is both unique and compliant and can achieve their business goals.
So one thing that has to be really tricky is that the platforms are doing literally thousands of different things, right? So one thing is if there were hundreds of short-term auto rental the auto platforms, that's one thing. You build the product and now you can fit it into all of them. But right, you've got one that does motorcycles, you've got another one that does outdoors equipment.
Yeah.
Things that have very different needs. So how do you guys handle it when a new platform comes around? How do you handle figuring out the insurance that those users need?
Yeah, so that's a great point, and it's we spend a lot of time and energy thinking about exactly those products, right? Because we're creating now fundamentally a horizontal platform, as I mentioned, that can apply to any PNC, and that drives how we structure our code, our APIs, our app. But you're absolutely right that especially when it comes to compliance, underwriting, those things tend to be more specialized. So now, as I mentioned, we have over 10 different, let's call it, insurance products that we run for our customers today. But no, we tend to focus our kind of time and energy in two of them primarily. One is shipping. So everything relates to like shipping marketplaces or e-commerce, that's kind of the products. And the other one is the ones related to vacation rentals. So leasing properties in websites like Airbnb or others for the short term. Those, like, from everything we work, those are the two that we specialize the most.
Okay. So shipping, was shipping already a huge focus before COVID, or was it more once COVID happened and people are shipping a lot more stuff?
I believe, yeah, it's a good question. It came during COVID. So shipping was a good example of a segment that grew organically. So because of our backgrounds, like, we started investing a lot of our time and energy in sharing economy use cases, primarily car sharing use cases. Those are our kind of early customers. But as we start seeing, the demand coming from many different other use cases, we worked with them, and we saw that shipping is one that especially got traction during COVID, and I think it's definitely, we see now that shipping is changing. I mean, there's some questions how things are going to work outside COVID, but we continue to see a very strong demand from like the different vertical SaaS platforms, marketplaces that are kind of involved in the shipping business.
Okay. And it's been a while. You guys are a very early insurtech with about 5 years of doing this. So what's next?
Yeah, that's a great question. We we are definitely close to our 5th year anniversary, and if you think about this, like we see ourselves as part of the second generation of insurtechs, right? You have the first one, with Lemonade, with Hippo, those things that came kind of like those companies that came earlier, and I think we are in the, let's say, the second wave that is starting to kind of reach maturity, like around now. And what is next? Like, yeah, continue to grow our platform, expand to more use cases more aggressively. As I mentioned, like we see the demand. What's one of the beauty of embedded insurance, that you see the demand in dozens of different areas, and then we want to, as I mentioned, eventually be the infrastructure or the operating system that is going to power all those different use cases. So for us, it's really the next few years is a journey of doubling down. We are working on some very innovative like risk transfer mechanisms, and then we will, I would say, next year start like being a bit more public around them. But what is excited is that we believe that embedded insurance is changing the core insurance product. I think most people see embedded insurance as a distribution story, right? That is just like the same product now with a new channel, like a little bit like mobile apps were in the first generation of InsurTech. We believe that embedded insurance can change everything, like the roles of like the company or the distributor, the carriers, the brokers, like it really kind of change in this new world. And we're excited with the innovation that we're bringing to make all of this happen in this new framework.
Okay, that I definitely look forward to seeing that happen and hearing more about it as time goes on, because it does seem that out of the people that I've had on the podcast this year, I don't know, maybe a third of them were doing embedded. You've been doing embedded for a long time, but you're the first one to say embedded is going to change the actual product. So very much interested in seeing how that happens. I am curious. Obviously, I come from the insurance side, don't know too much about the platforms, but I am curious for the platforms. So insurance is something that they're kind of that they have to do, that the users have a pain point, right? But is it something that is revenue neutral for the platform? Is it something that will cost them money to do, but they're just going to have to do it to keep growing? Or is it a revenue generator for the platforms? Or does it vary?
Yeah, they have the flexibility to do all of the above. One of the beauties of the way we work is that we give the platform the options. And we have up like all the 3 use cases that you mentioned. Like we have companies that decide that insurance is a core profit center, so they run at a very good margin. We have cases where companies just include the insurance as part of the subscription, so everybody kind of gets it. Like think about a Uber, for example. When you get into Uber ride, you're getting insurance. You don't have to think about it. It's going behind the scenes. So in that case, it ended up being a cost for Uber, but they charge the customer via the fee, right? It's embedded or included on the fee. And we don't like right now, I think there's no right and wrong. I think it depends on what's the type of product the customer had. And even we have seen companies in the same space using different strategies. So it really boils down to how do they think about their business, how they think about the different models. What we've seen though is that there is a very big trend, and this is like obviously much bigger than Tint. It is around the software world in general, which is the trend towards monetizing with fintech services, right? Even beyond insurance. So there are many software companies they used to be pure software that are making kind of fintech or insurance monetization a core part of their monetization strategy, particularly in this world where there's now a pressure to show margins, right? To show good unit economics, not only growth at all costs. So that we think is very exciting. If you ask me, in 10 years, I would say that most tech platforms will be making money with insurance, if not, being one of the key drivers of this process.
Okay. And ultimately, Tint is designed to let you do it the way you want to do it. Whatever fits your business model best, and whatever fits the platform, your customers best. And I like the example of Uber. In the case of Uber, like they had no option. They had to offer it, but
Mhm.
uh, in other markets, I could definitely see a competitors, one choosing to be the more expensive one that has everything included, and the other one being more cost effective, and then you choose when you want to protect it, right? Because it's not required by law like it is for auto.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very
And I think
interesting.
shipping is a great example, right? Because in shipping, you have the requirements, the cargo, the parts that are on the hauler side that that will be in place. But then the marketplaces, the platforms, they have the option of all like charging the shipper and creating a better solution that like can pay for claims faster, that can be cost effective. And we've seen both cases. We've seen some of our customers that charge an add-on fee for that. And we see cases where they just include on the shipment price and say, well, every shipment in my platform is protected by this product. So, and I think as you mentioned, like we are designed to let you do both. Like obviously, we don't have infinite choices, right? There are a few components where there are a few choices, but within that, we can absolutely be flexible in letting the companies design however makes sense for them.
Awesome. How long does it take? So if I run a platform and I reach out today saying, and I noticed that on the website you have both the we're already doing it a little bit or we're ready to start today. So
Mhm.
if we haven't done it at all and we're ready to start today, uh, how long does it take to have us up and running? Are we talking a matter of a couple of weeks, or are we talking a matter of a few months, or is this a beast of a project?
No, it's probably a few months or a couple of months, I would say, depending on the maturity. I think from our experience, normally the time it takes depends on the how much resources the platform have available. Like if you come to us and say, yeah, I already have a product team ready, the engineers ready to get started with integration, it can take as little as 2 months, maybe faster depending on where you are, depending if it's a use case that we have seen already. It can be longer if it's a completely new one. So for example, we work on one of our customers. They are in they are on the DeFi or decentralized finance space. So basically, they provide protection against platforms being hacked by and then some money being lost in the process. As you can imagine, that is a much more complicated project, and that took more than 2 months for sure. But we also seen cases where it can be done even in less than 2 months.
Okay, and not only will you help us with compliance and the platform, you'll help us find carrier capacity.
Find capacity with the technology, so the policy admin, claims management, like all the core systems that you need to run that, compliance, making sure that everything is buttoned up, and yeah, and the capacity as well.
Okay, awesome. Very interesting. Thank you so much for your time. Super interesting. Obrigado. Prazer em conhecer você. And look forward to see you guys continue to grow.
Thank you very much, de nada. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you again for the invitation.
Awesome. Thank you.